Good morning, internets. It is Tuesday morning. I left the house this morning and it was 37 degrees and I had a range of 34 miles on the battery only mode on my 2012 Chevy Volt Premium. The weather here has been absolutely nuts. 3 days ago it was 71 degrees and then the very next day we didn't break 50. So if you're coming to Las Vegas, if you're planning a trip to Las Vegas, still come. Please come. That's what we do here, is we host guests, but make sure that you pack more than you think you need because you cannot predict what the weather is going to do. It's been a good morning. Started the day with a workout with my girl Jahaira. I love you. Thank you so much. She brought me this sweater just because she loves me. And I love her too, so that's a good way to start the day. Let's go work out. And then, oh, by the way, here's a sweater that I think you'll look cute in, and it makes me feel cute, so that's cool. A little bit of EV news today, guys. I want to talk to you about the Aspark Owl. Probably mispronouncing the name of that company, but this is big news. A Japanese car manufacturer has produced an all-electric hypercar, which is just redefining what a hypercar even is. So the company is Aspark, A-S-P-A-R-K, Aspark, or Aspark? Not really sure there. Go ahead, let me know in the comments if I'm pronouncing that correctly or incorrectly. And they're calling this the Owl, O-W-L, Owl, like the predatory bird. And it has a mind-boggling 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. Now, if that sounds fast, it's because it's really freaking fast. Prior to that, the fastest 0 to 60 time that I personally knew of was the Chiron, the Bugatti Chiron, which is their follow-up to the Veyron. So we have the Chiron pulling a 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds. So nearly half a second slower than the Owl. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Bugatti, we're all probably familiar with Lamborghini at this point, and the Aventador does their 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds. So there we have the Aspark Owl blowing them both out of the water. It is one thing to out-accelerate a Lamborghini. Now that is no small feat at all. That's quite the impressive thing to do. The Aventador is an amazing machine. To out-accelerate it is astounding. To out-accelerate a Veyron in 0 to 60 is staggering. But to out-accelerate the Chiron, which, unless I've missed my mark here, is more than $2, possibly even $3 million vehicle, that's just insane. At that point, I wonder, and the Chiron it's Bugatti, so big giant gas motor, big heavy car. Again, Aventador, we have another gas motor. What is the point of at this point, I feel like the internal combustion engine is for the purpose of ambiance, and the reason for it is because it sounds good and it makes the experienced car enthusiast feel at home because it makes the sounds that he or she expects. Electric, not only, I know I have a couple of people who like to remind me on my videos, electric is the future, fossil fuels are dead, and I agree, but it's just in recent years that we're starting to see electric and hybrid models be able to deliver the raw performance that internal combustion, that we were getting from internal combustion before. That now you don't necessarily need a big giant V12 or, you know, a twin turbo V8 to do ludicrous speed. It's not necessary. That's not where the power comes from anymore. The electric motors are faster. The power is available faster. It's available from 0 RPM. You know, and with gas motors, you know, you have to fuel map them, and there's a power band, and you produce the most power and the best torque between such and such RPM and such RPM, and you got to know all that stuff and tune and all of these things that you have to do to get the maximum performance out of a gas motor. So like once you have a gas motor, there's a bunch of things that you need to do to it to make it perform extremely well. And then once you do all of those things, it will only perform extremely well under really specific conditions and under it within a very specific power band. So I think it's very interesting that we have the Aspark Owl that it does not care. It does not care. It just, you turn it on and then you go 0 to 60 in 1.9. That's insane. And you guys should look this thing up, because just go look up the Aspark Owl. And look at a picture of this thing. You're not losing anything in the hypercar aesthetics by having an electric car over a gas car in this case. It's sexy, it's angular, it looks like it's from the future, it's got a really mean look, it's got a really, really good looking stance in the vehicle. It's just, frankly, it's beautiful. And I wouldn't go as far as to say it's as beautiful as the Chiron. For me personally, for, you know, the hypercars and supercars and the cars that we drool over and the cars that get made into posters and put on kids' bedroom walls, like the Chiron, man, it's aside from it being a, you know, a technological wonder and achievement of engineering and of what mankind can do with math and displacement, it's just, God love Bugatti. It's just stunningly beautiful. So I don't feel the Owl is as good looking as the Chiron, but if what you're looking for is to have the fastest, the quickest car, like that's what you want, I want to be the quickest one here, then what you want is the Aspark Owl. And that's amazing to me. I have no idea how many of these are going to be produced, or how available they're going to be, or what the price point is. This is literally like the bare bones information that I have right now, and I'll get more information for you guys on this later. I want to know what you guys think. How much longer are manufacturers going to continue to make supercars and hypercars that run on gasoline, that run on pump gas? How much longer is that going to be feasible? Are we going to start seeing the phasing out of, like, is this the last generation of the gas-powered supercars and hypercars? Now, a supercar or a hypercar, in all likelihood and probability, will never be something that I can personally attain. But they are important, and the reason that they're important for people who can't drive them is because that is where auto manufacturers test new technology. That technology actually, like that is trickle-down economics that actually does work. It's good for the brand. You know, when a manufacturer makes an insane thing, when we have manufacturers like Ford with the GT, or we have manufacturers like Chevrolet with some of the newer Corvettes and the big numbers that those things are putting down. Now that's not going to be where Ford and Chevy make all of their money. They're going to make all of their money in the consumer cars. But those things are good for the brand, and they make people associate performance and dare I say it, even affection with the brand more so than they would if they didn't produce these giant things. Now we have these other producers like Aspark that are coming out and making these incredible leaps forward in technology and getting all kinds of power and just wonderful performance out of the electric car model. And I'll go ahead and park right here. I don't have to be anywhere just yet. Whoa. As my electric car turns off and it makes a sad noise. Why? What was I saying? Oh, but at some point, we know that we're going to reach the point where it's no longer reasonable for people to continue producing or even buying internal combustion engines. We know this. But the arguments, like when I get negative comments on my videos, they're always from internal combustion drivers. Yes, the Camaro guys, but also people who just in general are afraid of change, and I can see why. They're afraid that the nostalgia of the sound and the smell and the vibration of a gas motor, like they feel that that's an intrinsic part of them, and that it's something that they're going to lose by them just going away and being replaced by electric motors. But when you see, you know, I hear a lot of guys, and we've all heard it. And if you haven't heard this, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but there's no replacement for displacement. We now have a replacement for displacement. 0 to 60 and 1.9 is a replacement for displacement. I get it. I get the big motor thing. I get the wanting to work on the thing. I get the build of the thing. I get the smell. I get the sound, that visceral connection to the thing. And those are things that I miss in an electric car. When I hit the accelerator in this car, in the Chevy Volt, there's no sensation of speed, because, and I found when I first got the car, I was speeding everywhere because it didn't make a sound, because the vibration didn't increase when I hit the accelerator. It just gave me more power, and the car zipped right along. And it's really easy to look down at the speedo and be like, oh my God, I'm doing 85 and a 65. How did that even happen? Because it happens, the transition is so smooth. It's almost not even anything to talk about. It's just, the car just moves. There's no shifting of gears. Even in an automatic, you can feel the thing shift gears. You can hear the, like, you hear that sound that you don't hear in an electric car. And that's something that I kind of missed when I got into the car. Now, after a long enough time, I've worked out the car, and you get used to no longer hearing that sound. But it is something that you miss, you know? And so, you know, I put it to you guys, with electric cars putting down numbers like this, how much longer are we going to have the gas-powered hypercar? How much longer is the sound of a Lamborghini engine? And this is, I say Lamborghini because it's very distinctive, and Lamborghini puts a lot of work into their exhaust to make it sound like a Lamborghini, to make it sound a certain way. One of the gags that you hear about Lamborghini drivers, like, oh yeah, your car has 10,000 miles on it, but the motor itself has 30,000 miles because it's all rev miles. Like, you've just been revving it at stoplights just because you love the way it sounds, and to get the pop, 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 like, people love that. And I can understand why. It's wonderful. Ferrari too. Ferrari puts a lot of work into how the exhaust sounds, how the motor sounds. They tune it not only for performance, but for the auditory pleasure of the thing. It's that important to buyers of these cars. You know, Pagani, that dude hired people who produce brass instruments, who produce horns, to come in and design and have input for how to tune the exhaust for that beautiful automobile. And I don't think that there's any single car, and this is my personal opinion, but I think the best looking car, not the best performing, not the best handling, just to look at it. If you were gonna look at a car and say, wow, that is a beautiful car, I think the most beautiful car is the Bugatti Chiron. And it's just, oh God, it's gorgeous. And they tuned every square inch of this thing is tuned specifically the way, you know, Pagani wanted it tuned, and to sound a certain way. And that's part of the, like, it's not just a thing to consider for people who have the means and the enthusiasm to buy these crazy high performing machines. It's a necessity. So when you see that these cars are being outperformed by something like the Aspark Owl, it just seems like, at what point do we trade the sound and the visceral pleasure of the exhaust for the performance of the electric car? And how long is it going to be until hypercar guys and supercar guys start valuing that performance over the nostalgia, and that's what it is at this point, the nostalgia of an internal combustion engine? I'm really curious about that. Like, are we going to see the culture change? Are we going to see it change enough that it's going to make that big a difference? I really want to know what you guys think about that. This car is very exciting to me. Something to go 0 to 60 at 1.9 is just, I don't know. I think that, well, we know auto manufacturers are leaning that way anyway. We know this with the Porsche 918 Spider. Yeah, I said it, Porsche. The Porsche 918 Spider, because that's a hybrid, and it screws off everybody's numbers. You know, it's an amazing vehicle. And we have Lamborghini saying that they're going to make this car, that this concept car, the Terzo Millennio, is going to be made. And this is an all-electric car that's going to run on supercapacitors, and instead of traditional batteries with self-healing panels and four different motors. Each wheel gets its own motor, and it's going to be the all-electric thing, and it's supposed to do all of the... They're working with MIT right now to design this thing. And they're inventing new technology for this. I think that technology is eventually going to make its way into consumer vehicles, and that's amazing to me. It's, you know, and I just learned this yesterday or the day before, that these technologies that you get from hypercars and race cars and things like this, these are things that matter to us as consumers. You like the analog brakes in your car? You ever felt that pull so that your car not skidding out and all your brakes working at the same time? Well, you have F1 to thank for that, because that is where the technology for analog brakes came from. And then it proved to be safer and more reliable, and something that you could put on consumer vehicles. And all of a sudden we had analog brake systems, and you wouldn't have had that if it weren't for racing, if it weren't for F1, if it weren't for people building these psychotic things that I'm never going to be in an F1 car. I'm never going to drive an F1 car, but I appreciate analog brakes. I'm never going to have an Aspark Owl or a 918 Spider or a Terza Millennial. Like, I'm never going to be able to have any of those things, but the technologies that they're developing will eventually make their way to me. So, like, I'm very grateful for that. That's something that's exciting to me. So I want to know what you guys think. How long is it going to be until we get better battery technology, and what is that technology going to look like? Because I know a lot of you know a lot more about it than I do, and I've had some really great conversations and learned a lot, so I appreciate that stuff. But also, I want to know, what do you guys think the transition is going to be? When do you think it's going to come? What will it take? What will it take to get Ferrari to produce an all-electric car? What will it take to, I mean, Lamborghini's already promised theirs. What will it take for us to see an electric dominant hybrid Koenigsegg? Like, what will that take? At what point? And I think what it's going to take is ego and pride. We're going to see these manufacturers get screwed off around Nürburgring. We're going to see them getting beat in the 8th and the quarter mile. We're going to see them getting beat in the flying mile. We're going to see, they're going to start getting beat is what's going to happen. This is my prediction. And, nothing will make a guy spend $100 million to redesign something like getting beat at the racetrack. Like, nothing will, and it works at all levels. Like, you get beat at the street races, you're willing to spend your rent money on that new blower system. Like, people, it's just a matter of scale. These egos don't change. They're not any different. They're not any better. They're not any worse. This is just, you know, that's speed culture, race culture. That's what people do. And I think that it's going to take some pretty serious embarrassment. I think it's going to take getting publicly humiliated by a good many cars, not just a couple of cars. We're going to need more than the Owl. We're going to need more than the 918. We're going to need more than that. But I think that's what it's going to take. What do you guys think it's going to take? And what kind of, like, staggering defeat is going to make Bugatti produce an electric car? Like, what's it going to take to make those guys go, this isn't really the best way to put the maximum power down at the ground anymore. This isn't, it's just not. You get better torque and more instant power from an electric motor than you do from a gas motor. And I could see wanting to back that power up with, you know, a big fat V8 or even, I don't even know the setups that people are using, but you probably wouldn't need a V12 anymore. But I could see wanting to back that up, but at least producing more hybrid cars, more hybrid supercars. And, you know, Porsche did a great job, and that technology isn't just in the 918 Spider. Now, that's an amazing hypercar that costs a lot of money, and then, you know, they produce luxury cars. There's not really any such thing as a very cheap Porsche. But, you know, even the Panamera comes in a hybrid, and that's amazing. And I don't know, like, that's some of that technology coming down to some of the more available models. Like, again, like, not that the Panamera is something that's necessarily affordable or even designed to be, but it's definitely more affordable than the 918. So I don't know. This is all very exciting to me. I know I'm a little scattered this morning, but first day back to work after a long weekend and just sort of getting back into the groove. And I got this news and I wanted to share it with you guys, and it makes me feel excited. So I hope everybody's having a really great day. Please let me know your ranges, your data, where you're at in the comments down below. Please consider supporting on Patreon if you'd like to support the channel. I'll go ahead and throw that link in there. And other than that, I think that's going to do it for me today. I hope everybody's having a really great day and that we're all about to have a really good week. If this is your first time on the channel, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing right over here, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Here's some other videos we think you'll enjoy right down here. My name is Catherine with EVs in Nevada. Everybody have a great day, and remember to like, subscribe, and smile.